The DBX is a last throw of the dice for Aston Martin. This super luxury SUV simply has to succeed for the brand, and it certainly has wider appeal than anything the company has produced in its entire history. Virtually all the basic chassis technology and handling development here is Aston's own, though the rest of the engineering is Mercedes sourced. And the brand has delivered a whole new standard of cabin quality. If this car doesn't work for Aston, then it's hard to see what else will.
Under the DBX bonnet lies the Mercedes-sourced 4-litre petrol V8 we've become used to seeing in Aston Martin sports cars, though it gets revised turbocharging and cooling systems here, plus a lower compression ratio. The 550 PS output's appropriately fiery, though if you don't think that's quite enough for a 2.2-tonne performance SUV expected to take it to crossovers from Lamborghini and Ferrari, then Aston provides the 707 PS DBX 707 model we're trying here, which improves the rest to 62 miles an hour sprint time from 4.5 to 3.3 seconds and top speed from 181 to 193 miles an hour. Either way though, this car is about more than just brute power. There's an active four-wheel drive system assisted by a torque vectoring rear differential with an active centre transfer case that allows torque to be moved between the front and rear axles. Plus, you get a 48-volt electric anti-roll control system with motorised roll-cancelling active anti-roll bars. The transmission is a 9-speed DCT auto, embellished on this 707 by the wet clutch setup necessary to deal with the uprated engine's prodigious extra torque, up from 700 to 900 Newton meters. The credits are racking up here, and we'd award more for the strong, progressive 6-piston brakes, which gain ceramic discs with this 707 version. Equally good is the adaptive air suspension setup, Aston's first, a proper 3-chamber system, another element upgraded for the 707. Depending on the drive setting you choose, this allows you to drive the DBX either as a sports car or a Gran Turismo. As you'd expect with both variants, there's a wide choice of drive modes. Of these, GT should be your default pick, it's Aston's preference too, but if you want to get the emotively tuned sports exhaust crackling, there are also Sport or Sport Plus options, plus an individual menu, allowing you to make the most of the all-new engineering tech. Talking of settings, there are also off-road modes too. Yes, the DBX will properly go off-road. The 4x4 rough surface settings are Terrain, where the air suspension lifts the car higher, and Terrain Plus, where it goes higher still, facilitating a 500mm wading depth. Plus, there's hill descent control for slithering down slippery slopes. Are there issues? Well, remarkably few, provided of course that you can afford the enormous running costs of that thirsty V8 rated in the standard model at 19.7 mpg on the combined cycle and 323 grams per kilometre of CO2. Is this how you expected an Aston Martin SUV to look? Possibly. The brand's chief creative officer, Marek Reichman, and his team have managed to bring a level of sculpture and sleekness to a sector perhaps not normally known for elegance. The DBX is just over 5 metres long, which makes it longer than a Porsche Cayenne, but shorter than a Bentley Bentayga, to give you some size perspective. From the front, you'd recognise it as an Aston, the swept back by LED headlights flanking the brand's familiar trapezoidally shaped grille. Other familiar brand touches include distinctive customisable vents in the bonnet and the front wings. The rear is even more distinctive, featuring full-width, slim LED tail lamps similar to those of the Vantage and a protruding rear spoiler, contributing to aerodynamics that make a rear window wiper unnecessary. We'd still want one, though, for overnight dew and autumn leaves. And what's more important here, of course, is what you can't see, the dedicated platform that most rivals just don't have, and the bonded aluminium construction that Aston Martin has carried over from its sports cars, hence this structure's astonishing torsional rigidity. Finally, Before we leave the exterior, a look at the engine, a work of art hand-built by Mercedes AMG. The days are numbered for this classic 4-litre twin-turbo V8, but it will be fondly remembered. Right, time to check out the interior. Let's get comfortable inside, where you're faced with a big 3-spoke wheel, a lower centre stack that lights up upon ignition, and the kind of high centre console that properly designates an uber-high performance SUV. The seating position's a little higher than you might expect, and the quality of interior trim is a level above anything we've previously seen from the brand. Over 200 hours of dedicated handcrafted assembly goes into each DBX cabin, and it shows. But not everything is ideal. The recent design trend for reducing dashboard button clutter appears to have passed Aston by. The number of switches and knobs you've to contend with swelled by the decision to retain the brand's usual gear shift buttons on top of the fascia, where they're a bit of a stretch away. The 12.3-inch instrument cluster display isn't quite as informative as we'd like, and the 10.25-inch centre screen doesn't have touch sensitivity, nor can it be paired with Android Auto smartphone mirroring, only Apple CarPlay. Plus points are regained by the enveloping seats and the range of useful storage areas, including this one beneath the centre console that's big enough for a handbag. Right, let's take a seat in the rear. Now, as at the front, you enter through a frameless door with cutaway sills, so trousers and dresses won't be smeared with mud when exiting the car. And once inside, you'll find that 2 adults will fit very comfortably. Thanks to this huge centre tunnel, a third will be much less happy. Aston says that rear passengers were central to the design process. The design team wanted an inclusive feeling for those in the back of the car, but without the feeling that rear occupants were leaning over those in the front, which can sometimes be the result of so-called stadium-style rear seating designs. In the event, it's all been very well judged, with knee and leg room that's difficult to better in the class. Headroom's good too, despite the standard provision of this vast panoramic glass roof, which gives the cabin an airy, spacious feel. You might hope that the bench base would slide, or at least that the backrest would recline, but no. Still, there's lots to distract you from the banal practicalities of that sort, like the classy stitching that features on the seat back pockets and the overhead grab handles. The right-hand one featuring the most unusual coat hook we've yet seen. You get bottle holders in the doors, there are connectivity ports, the twin vents are separated by smart climate controls, and further vents decorate B-pillars embellished with little circular speakers. Let's finish with a look at the boot, the tailgate for which does of course have power operation, but which can't be activated with your foot unless you pay extra, which does seem a bit mean. It rises to reveal a gratifyingly large loading area, square of shape and rated at 632 litres in size. That's 138 litres less than a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, but 16 litres more than a Lamborghini Urus and 148 litres more than a Bentley Bentayga. There's 62 litres of further room beneath this cargo base, but that's only just big enough for the space-saver spare wheel. Folding the 40-20-40 split rear seat back is aided by these right-hand side buttons, but they're not much use because when you activate them, the seats don't properly spring forward. So you have to go round to the passenger door and flatten them manually anyway. And even then, they don't fold quite flat. With everything pushed forward, there's 1,529 litres of space on offer. In the DBX, Aston Martin's management have inherited the most complete exotic luxury segment performance SUV yet made. Yes, there are areas where it concedes ground to obvious rivals, ultimate speed, refinement and practicality, but it's telling that after living with this car, we've concluded that meaningful improvement in any of these things might well detract from the addictiveness of the overall package. Luxury SUV buyers won't care about any of that, of course. They'll simply want to know whether this could be the ultimate high-performance model of this kind ever made. The answer is that for many of them, it very well might be.